Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life, the podcast. You're listening. This is Myrna Young, and my guest today is April Diaz. And April and I are going to be talking on the topic how to become a whole leader. Welcome, April.
Thank you, Myrna. It's a pleasure to be here. We've already had good laughs, so this is going to be a great conversation.
Yes, it will. I am. I'm excited to have this conversation. It's the first time I've had a conversation about the wholeness of leaders. So it'll be a great segue. All right. So let me ask you guys a question as we dive in. Have you ever felt that you're doing everything right, but still feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, and disconnected? You're checking all the boxes, you're leading, you're achieving, showing up for everyone else, but somewhere along the way, you've lost a part of yourself. Well, today's episode is for the high capacity woman who's ready to stop surviving success and start leading from a place of wholeness. My guest today is April Diaz, founder and CEO of Ezer Company, an executive leadership coach who has worked with over 1,000 leaders from C-suite executives to Olympians, helping them transform not just how they lead, but who they become. So in this conversation, we're diving into what it really means to be a whole leader, why managing your energy is more important than managing your time, and how to break free from a cycle of stress and burnout. So if you ever feeling stretched too thin, stuck in overdrive, or disconnected from your purpose, this episode is going to speak directly to your soul. So let's dive in. Awesome. All right. So, April, you work with high capacity women leaders who look successful on the outside. What was happening in your own life that led you to this work? I'm assuming that, a lot of coaches start off with something that happened to them and then they teach it. So, what was your branching out moment?
I mean, your intro was like set up this conversation so well, Myrna, because I don't know who is listening that wouldn't raise their hand, right? We are in a culture and in a country and in a time where we are running fast, we are stretched thin, we are overwhelmed, we are exhausted, we are burning the candle at all, right? Everything you just said, it's like, yes, that describes me. And I think that definitely describes every woman that I've ever met. And then if you add the leadership hat to that, it's like exponential. So I would absolutely put myself in that category. I am with you. I am one of you. And I think I have felt that way since I started in my leadership journey 25 years ago, at different points in different ways. And it started for me when I was about 25. I was in my mid 20s. I had already achieved a lot. My career was up and to the right. There was incredible opportunity. I was very ambitious. I had lots of goals and dreams. I don't know if Beyonce's song "Who Runs the World" had come out yet, but like that was like my theme song. Like that was my mantra and my
Everyone in the
dance
world.
mix.
Okay, yeah.
Girls, I mean, obviously, we're in Women's History Month right now, right? Like this was my mantra. This was my calling. But I was on a trajectory to blowing up my life. In the span of like 2 weeks, I ended up having two panic attacks. And I'm not somebody who traditionally struggles with a lot of anxiety. So that was a real warning. It was a real wake up call. The second panic attack, I found myself sitting in the corner of my bathroom on a Sunday afternoon. I was home alone. My husband was at work and I was just curled up between the toilet and the bathtub. I was sobbing. I was shaking. I couldn't catch my breath. I couldn't regulate myself. And it really scared me. And I knew that something was really wrong. So I called one of my mentors and I was desperate for a quick fix. So I thought she would just tell me, here's the three things you need to do, and your life will be back together again. And instead, she looked me square in the eye and took a deep breath. And she said, April, you have a Popeye arm. And I like kind of tilted my head. I was confused. I wasn't picking up what she was putting down. And so she, carried on and she said, you have one arm that is all about the hustle and achievements. You can do more before noon than most people can do in 2 days. You have just all of the potential in the world. That's your Popeye arm. You get all the stuff done. She said, but this other arm that's all about your energy and your renewal and your ability to rest and recover, that arm is emaciated and you are racing towards burnout. So if you don't figure out how to grow this other muscle, you're going to be in a pretty bad spot. So that literally changed the trajectory of my life and my leadership. I think it's one of the things that I keep having to learn over and over again because I am a high achieving, highly ambitious, want to change the world, who runs the world. All of that is still true of me. But I have had to learn, and I've been on this journey of training my body, training my mind, training my whole self differently so that my Popeye arm it isn't a Popeye arm, that they are equally balanced. They are perfectly proportionate biceps, metaphorically. So that really was the impetus, the origin story for me. And you're right. I think our whole story matters. And it has been out of my own story that I have really done the work to figure out what does leadership look like at the highest levels, not sacrificing any of that, but also not sacrificing yourself along the way.
Wow. I love that origin story. I'm glad I asked the question because
Great question.
I don't normally ask that question anymore. Intuition.
Mm, there you go.
Because yeah, when I first started my podcast, I would always ask, what brought you to this journey right now? People will take like 10, 15 minutes to talk about it and then, sort of thing
So
out of
what
that.
is
So I
what's
stopped
something right
asking that
now? Where are we
question.
at?
So I'm glad I asked that no, because I learned a couple of things. Popeye arm. I
Yeah.
drew a blank when you said that.
Right. So did
Because
I.
I'm also a coach and I've never heard that before. But I do know that, yeah, I mean, women, are always in masculine energy. They're doing,
Mm,
and they never rest and they never relax. And they're always, who runs the world kind of thing, So
mhm.
that was a beautiful origin story. And most coaches, that I've spoken to anyway, always have, you know, their story, and then they help other people because they know that's how that's how you can help other people because you've walked in those shoes. Now, one of the things that I noticed immediately when I became a coach is, which is where I thought this conversation was heading, where you're checking all those boxes, but
Yeah.
you're not fulfilled on the inside.
Mhm.
Almost my first set of clients were all corporate people that, I mean, one of my first clients, honestly, my first client, she says, I've got the house, I've got the husband, I've got the kid, I've got everything, but I'm not fulfilled. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
thought that's where we were heading to. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same kind of thing, just packaged a little differently. So, what do you think is going on beneath the surface where women feel that they have to run the world?
It's a great question. I mean, I'm thinking about your first client because I
Mhm.
think that is the story for so many women.
Yeah.
And I have conversations also with women every day, men too, but women seem to have this a little bit more so, where we're going to take care of everything and everyone else. And if there is time, if there is money, if there is margin, then whatever is left over will be for me.
Mhm.
And that's just like bass backwards. You cannot, I mean, that's why we have the cliches of, right, you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to put the oxygen mask on first. We say those things, those are cliches because they're true. But again, our culture, I don't know how you were raised, but I was definitely raised to help everyone else. That was my primary focus, mission, calling, was to take care of everything and everyone else. And that just never made sense to me because it was like, if I am me and everywhere I go, there I am. And so I have to be at a place where I can help someone else, where I can serve someone else, which requires what I now talk mostly about in my work, which is self leadership. If you are not leading yourself first, then everyone else suffers. And yet we kind of name that as a luxury. We talk about that as a secondary thing or something that we do if there is anything that is left. So I think we have to completely reorder how we do leadership. And for women, because this is how we have been trained, this is how we have been exposed to our purpose, our calling, our mission. It will take an additional amount of attention and effort and energy because it's like going against the grain, right? It is a redoing, it's a reordering of what matters the most. And the fact is that you matter the most. If you do not matter most, then everyone else pays a price for that.
Yeah. It's really interesting, but I had an interview just an hour ago, and that was the focus of the conversation. We were talking about, um, uh, you know, this. She's an Ayur- I can't even say the word now. Ayurvedic doctor, and she's all about
Mm,
the energy and our energy systems. And she
mhm,
was saying that she had a workshop where she told these women that for 2 minutes in the morning they have to put themselves first, and people were pushing back. You mean I got my father is sick or I got kids? How can I put myself first? But she's saying exactly the same thing. Put your oxygen mask on first, which is what they teach
mm,
you. You actually added an extra one. You can't pour from an empty cup. But it's really interesting that I never got that bug. I mean, right now I have a daughter that's 36 and she got the bug. She didn't get it from me. I mean, she didn't get it from me. But I always have a full cup. I always take care of myself, and I schedule my day where I'm first. I have my morning routine, and then I do my work, and then I have an evening routine. You know what I mean? I make sure I have this great old balance, and I make sure that I'm fulfilled and I'm doing my work, and I never give all of me. You know what I mean? But a
mhm,
lot of women do, and you're very right. It's a bug that and I don't know why, but I never got that. But but I actually
mhm.
think it's a personality thing. And maybe that's basically why mine is different, because a personality where you're a pleaser. That's actually
Mhm.
exactly what she is. She's a pleaser.
Mm, yeah,
When
yeah,
you're a pleaser, you please everybody else and forget yourself. And yes.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely think there are some personality things in there. And that's why, even though I was trained in a certain way, I rebelled against it because I was like, this doesn't make sense. You can't, A plus B doesn't equal C here. That there's a subtraction that is happening that doesn't actually give a multiplying exponential results. And that's what I'm interested in. So let's do some things differently. So, yeah, I think that there are some folks that kind of, say no to the system and no to the training and, kind of go your pathway or my pathway, but then there's a whole bunch of us that are like, that is the cultural norm. That is what is acceptable. That is what is praised. And so we will do that because we still get some sort of benefit from it.
Mhm.
And I'm just about disrupting all of that because I think the world will be a healthier and a more whole place if we first lead ourselves.
Yeah, of course. And going by your analogy, you do suffer burnout. You've got an empty cup.
Mhm.
You are stressed, which includes another host of health
Yeah.
problems and all that.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
uh, but yeah, but it is when you put everyone else before you and feel that you have to do everything, and everybody, if you don't show up, then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And yeah, I mean, you feel that you're the glue that holds this whole ship together, and you've got to do all these different things. But yeah, so let's put it to a leader perspective, because I'm talking about it from just a woman that has all these things that she has to do. She's
Sure.
got her husband, she's got her job, she's got her kids,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And those things go before her. But when you're a leader, or you're a CEO, it makes it even worse, right? So
Mhm.
share a story of a client that had to go through this tunnel in order to put herself first.
Yeah, the first story that comes to mind is a woman who I absolutely love. I've been working with her off and on for 15 years. And there's just been some really beautiful growth, that we have seen. But in this last season, her name is Lacey. And, in this last season, Lacey was in a job. She's a clinical psychologist. So she's got her doctorate. She's incredibly intelligent. She's very experienced. She's worked with some of the, highest capacity, highest achieving, performing kind of people. And she was in a job and in a company that really was not honoring and valuing herself. They just were looking for more and more output because she was really good at what she did. So it was like more clients, more hours, more flights, more hotel room nights, just longer days, more team members to manage. But there was this misalignment that was happening. And so while she was doing so many of the things that we talk about in our coaching model, to lead herself holistically, she was just noticing, like on a spiritual level and on a mental level, there was misalignment. And she could do all the things that she could do internally, but if it wasn't aligned with what she was doing externally, it just could never get aligned, right? It was always going to be square peg round hole kind of situation. And something really interesting happened. She was trying to figure out, like, do I stay or do I go? How can maybe I lead change from within? Because that's another thing we do, right? Is we try to fix whatever current systems or structures that we are in and hope for the better end if we just do that well. And last summer, she called me and she had just been fired. And it came out of nowhere. She had no idea, but she got the Zoom invitation and she saw that the HR director was on the other side of the call and the invite. And she popped it open and lo and behold, she again had great reviews and had been performing at those highest levels and she got fired. And so I've also been fired from a job before. And so I joked with her, I was like, well, welcome to the fired club, the club that nobody wants to be in. And yet so many of us find ourselves in here, particularly when we are going against whatever sort of grain or whatever sort of expectation the system has set up for us. And I asked how she felt on the flip side of this firing. And the first thing that she said was, I feel relieved. I feel free. Because we know when we are not living in alignment with ourselves. We know when there is disintegration happening. If we can get quiet for a moment, we know when it's not working. And I hate it when something external happens that forces that alignment, where it's like, okay, now you're fired, or now you get sick, or now you're getting divorced, or now your kids no longer want to talk to you. Like those external big things that can happen where it can really force or invite you to review and to reflect. But those sorts of pattern interruptions are really valuable. And if we don't make the most of them, then we will waste all the opportunities to actually lead ourselves well and to lead with more wholeness. And so she's been on this really beautiful journey now for the last 9 months of figuring out what does it look like for her to lead with that kind of alignment and integration and with her whole self so that she can actually build the life that she loves. And she's doing it and it's so beautiful. And of course it's hard and it's messy, but when there's alignment there, gosh, there's just nothing better. So she's doing great.
Well, that's a good story. It's a really it's I love the fact that we put that out there because I've seen it with so many
Yeah.
people where they give their jobs their all, and I
Yeah.
keep telling them again, this is a lesson that I learned a long time ago
Mhm.
that you know and I'm aware of it, and I tell people that I see doing it. I says, you know what? You forsake your marriages, you forsake your
Yeah.
kids, you forsake
Yeah.
yourself, and you go churn, 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 churn. Do more clients, do
Yeah.
more of this because whatever, you're getting paid,
Yeah.
you want to please. And then you know what? And I say to them, as whenever you are no longer good for their balance sheet, they will fire you.
Mhm. Mhm.
They don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They will fire you. So don't give a company your all. That's always been my motto. And I say it to people. And again, personality types, they just need to give somebody their all. And then they look back and they're divorced. And you're right, they don't know their kids, and their kids hate them. So you've never been here for me, and all that. There's always so people used to talk about work-life balance. Somebody says the other day that that's a
Mhm.
myth, but it is still balance, right?
Yeah.
You can't give all to one bucket. You've got to have a balanced bucket. And sure, maybe the reason I never got that bug because I am all about spirituality. and I'm all about feelings, and I'm all about the energy, which is what we're going to talk about next. Feeling the
Yeah.
energy, feeling fulfilled, feeling grateful, feeling happy. You know what? And you can't do that if you're burnt out over here and all your thoughts are,
Yeah.
this job and deadlines and all that stuff. You can't do that if you're all the way to the left. Your Popeye arm. I'm gonna steal
Hmm.
that.
Do it. It's yours.
I'm gonna steal that. I never heard that before, and I'm gonna steal that. So yeah, it's so I'm glad that your client um was forced into this new area. But you know what?
Hmm.
A lot of people would yeah, yeah. I'm thinking of a person, that was supposed to be fired the other day, and the first thing they did was start looking for jobs, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
nobody wants to take that time. They're so focused on the money. So I'm glad
Yeah.
that your client had 9 months of, I guess because she's got you as her coach, and she didn't immediately go into, I gotta find a job, So
Yeah. Well, I mean, even for the listener, like as you were describing it, like your hands were going in circles, which is like you just continue the insanity, right? And we know what insanity is. You do the same thing over and over again and you
yeah,
expect a different results.
right.
And the thing that self-leadership requires is the pullback. It is the reflection. It is the review. It is the analysis. We do that in a business sense, right? We do strategic planning. We do fiscal and budget year planning. That's a pullback to review how are we spending our money? Where are our priorities? Where are we investing the largest initiatives and projects for the next year? But why don't we do this for ourselves? In some ways, it's because it's not rewarded and it's not celebrated, and there's not some sort of external KPI to go with it. But one of the things I say all the time is that when you expand your internal capacity, you naturally get better external results. And so for the client who's about to get fired and starts immediately looking for jobs, all they are looking at is the external, when instead the invitation is to go internal for a bit and to take a look at what does it mean to expand this internal capacity so that you will naturally get different external and better results externally. It's a flowing out of who you are. Just that is nature, that is neuroscience, that is the way the world is constructed. Is just it flows out of you depending on what is within you. So we have to make some pattern interruptions again. And sometimes those big ones that happen externally are gifts, but so many people waste those opportunities and they just keep moving instead of going, what is this here for? And what do I get to do differently because of what is happening?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So it's very true. Yeah, you sit back and reflect and even figure out, do I want to keep working for the man, or I'm going to go in
Yeah.
my own business? You get
Yeah.
fired, sometimes you get a severance package, and that usually sets you up. So that's yeah, you sit back and relax and not relax, reflect. That's a good thing, and not thinking, okay, gosh, I got to make this paycheck, right? So I got to keep
Mhm.
on the hamster wheel. So good,
Yeah.
yeah. It's we're one of the things, beautiful things of having conversations with this like this, or somebody that's listening, they were going to get aha moments, so they're
Mhm.
thinking, yeah, manage internally, wholeness, manage, what do I want to do? Sit back and reflect, take some time off.
Mhm.
So, um, uh, for the women that's listening right now who feels overwhelmed, disconnected, running on empty, what's one simple shift that she can make today to start becoming the whole leader, as your
Mhm.
work is talking about?
Yeah. So first, let me give a little bit of a context for when I talk about holistic leadership or the whole leader. What do I mean? We define it in six unique but interconnected parts. It's physical, emotional, mental, relational, spiritual, and renewal. It is actually in that order on purpose because it goes from most basic for life to most meaningful for life. So without your body, you cease to exist, right? So we start with the body. This is the basis for your whole life. We end with renewal because when you experience, that was the Popeye arm, right? It's like if you are not experiencing renewal, if you're not resting, if you're not managing your stress and your energy, then you're on the pathway to burnout. So that's how we talk about holistic leadership, is through those 6 very unique but interconnected parts. And I would say, for the leader or for the woman who is listening right now that is going, you just dialed my number. You're talking straight to me, get out of my ears, but maybe also like, tell me more. Um, Honestly, the best gift that I could give you is for you to take my free assessment. It's called the Whole Leader Snapshot. And what that snapshot does is helps you to see your blind spots. It will take a look at all of those 6 parts and help you to see what you cannot see because you're in autopilot, because you're so in your own life and you got your head down and you're grinding it out and you're in the day to day. So it just helps you to pull back to take a look at what's really going on. And what's really going on is the first task of leadership anyway, right? Is to define reality. So the snapshot will help you to define reality, and then it will give you specific next steps for you to take. So I can't say, for everyone listening, do this one thing. But I think that taking that whole leader snapshot will absolutely not only help you to see what it is that you need to see, but also then what that pathway could look like for you to take the next step. It is personal, it is customized, and it will really serve you so that you are able to do the things that we're talking about here today. So it's on our website. You can go to azerandco.com/snapshot. It's on our homepage, but you can go that direct link as well. And we have worked with hundreds and hundreds of leaders who have gone through this. It's a really powerful tool.
All right, repeat that again. Your website.
Ezer and Co. Yeah, azerandco.com. So it's EZERANDCO.com. And it's on the homepage there. You can just go directly there.
Okay, awesome. Right. Yeah. Excellent. So you also have a book. Can you tell us about your book and your coaching practice?
Yeah, I'm actually in the process of writing my next book. So I can't tell you much about it right now, Myrna. No. But
All right.
our coaching is really around this idea of the whole leader. We have a coaching group that is specifically for women that are in executive roles. But then we've got a 90-day accelerator as well. That is a very, very accessible way for you to get some quick actionable results that gives you kind of this high level look through some training around what does wholeness look like in each of those 6 parts that we talked about, and the key behavior and the key exercise that is necessary in order for you to see really actionable results. And so, yeah, those are probably the 2 like best places for folks to explore more of our work and what we do. But yeah, I've been doing this for 20 plus years, personally, like in my own. And I tell my husband all the time.
You still look 25, girl.
Oh, I'll take it. I'm 46. I got 3 teenagers.
You're kidding me. Wow.
Oh, but you said you have a 30-something-year-old. I was like, no, you're lying too. So whatever is going on, good for us with our water intake and our supplements and our skincare routine. Let's keep doing it. But yeah, I mean, I do tell my husband all the time. Sometimes I hate my work because I have to practice what I preach.
Yeah.
Right? I can't work 100 hours a week and eat junk food and let my brain just rot on Netflix and, hang out with people who just treat me terribly. Like, I actually have to do the things that will help me to lead myself to my whole self.
Yes.
But the beautiful part of it is like, I get the results and I've got a really great life.
It shows.
I have an incredible life because I am doing the things that I invite leaders to do every single day. And the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in this CEO and this founder that when you lead yourself holistically first, you can get unbelievable results. You can increase your impact without sacrificing yourself. You can be an incredible leader with incredible influence and still have your husband love you and still have your kids want to hang out with you, even teenagers. These things are possible, but we have to have vision for it. And then we also need to train ourselves into that. Sorry, one more thing I'll say, and then I know we need to wrap up. But one of the other things that I tell my clients at the very beginning of our journey together is that there's a very big difference between training and trying. And you can never out-try what it is that you've already trained yourself to do.
Okay.
You can't try.
That. I didn't get that. Okay.
Yeah. a lot of times you talk about like I'm just trying harder, right?
Okay.
So like I'm not naturally a very patient person. I want things yesterday, ready, fire, ready, aim is kind of my mojo. But we can't I can't try to be more patient. All I do is get frustrated and burned out and like just annoyed all the time, right? Because it's all of that's about your willpower and it's about your current capacity. It's like what you've already trained yourself to do. So instead, if I want to train myself to be more patient, I choose the slower lane of the highway. I choose the lane of the grocery store that has the cashier that I
Okay.
know is going to be slower. I
Wow.
train myself in order to build capacity. It's just like you would do that physically, right? Like you may not be able to do 10 push ups today, but if you train on a consistent basis, you'll be doing 10 push ups by the end of the month
That's
because
good.
you are expanding, you're putting your body and your mind into circumstances and situations where you are able to expand what you already naturally have, but what you're capable and what your potential is. And so yeah, you'll just never out try what it is that you've already trained for, but you can absolutely train yourself to do different and to be better. And I'm all about that for leaders who actually want to do that kind of work.
Well, look at that. I got a second aha from you. That's good.
That was for free. You're welcome.
Very nice. I like that. I like that. And it's very true. It's very true. It's just when you package it in such a way that people can understand it, then they can, they can see the practicality of it.
Mhm.
Years ago, I would always say, I learned that from one of the gurus I was following, is that you can't learn to swim when you're drowning. Same kind of thing. You got to
Yeah.
practice, right? You
Practice.
got to do the work before you want patience. So,
100%.
to wrap that up in a bow, right? If we want patience, we can't be trying to tap into it when
Mhm.
someone is frustrating us. We've got to build that capacity. So I like that. A lot of people don't
Absolutely.
build the capacity. They just think about it. I want patience.
Yeah. Or we wait for motivation, right? And motivation and willpower
Well,
are so
yeah, I
fleeting.
never deliberately do that. I mean, I'm always checking out which line I think is going to go faster. And then I pick the wrong one and I'm like really upset with myself. But
Yes, we would be
thinking of what
friends.
you're saying, deliberately going to the one that I think is going to go slower.
That's it.
Wow, that takes some work.
Yeah. But you just said an important word that I think is also important for us. It's
Mhm.
deliberate.
Yeah.
When we are deliberate in whatever is placed in front of us or however it is that we choose to want to grow, then that deliberateness can give us some different results as well because we are choosing to do the work. We're training, we're
Yeah.
practicing. I love that word that you said too.
Mhm.
We have to practice. It doesn't just magically happen. Can't just manifest it. Like it has to be the work that we do over time deliberately. And when we do, you can look back and be like, I can't believe I can't have come so far. I didn't know I had that in me.
Yeah,
Right.
you do have
I
to do
mean, for
that.
anyone who's birthed a child or who has parented a child, you're like, I didn't know I had that in me to make that kid and keep it alive. Like
That's it.
that's a pretty cool thing. But
Yes.
you just do that work and then you get really great results.
That's amazing. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, one last question on contact. What's your social media handle?
April Diaz, two L's. That's the best
Okay.
place for people to follow me on Instagram. I'm also very active on LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn, April Diaz as well. And then my website is really the best place. You can get on our email
Everything is
list
there.
and
Right.
get
Perfect.
it all
Okay.
there.
Okay. Well, yeah, I will have an article on the my website, which is myhelps.us, that will link out to your website and also link out to your social media so people can, you know, reach you after this incredible conversation. You have motivated me and motivated, the people that are listening to become a whole leader and put themselves first. I think I will air this one directly after my other one that I was talking about as far as the energy. We didn't get into that one, but yeah, but energy and managing yourself and becoming a holistic person. And I love your 6 steps. So as they get more information on your website, they will be able to practice that. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so if there's one thing to take away from my conversation with April today is this: you don't have to sacrifice your well-being to be successful. True leadership comes from wholeness, not exhaustion. And when you begin to align your energy, your purpose, and your inner life, everything else on the outside changes. Not just how you lead, but how you live. So if this episode resonated with you, I encourage you to take one small step today. You pause, you breathe, you're checking with yourself, because transformation doesn't start with doing more, it starts with becoming aware. So make sure to connect with April and explore her work. And if you're ready to deepen your leadership and step into a more aligned, impactful version of yourself, then definitely follow her on Instagram and LinkedIn and check out her website. And if you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share it with a friend, leave a review. It helps us continue bringing transformational conversation like this one to you every week. So, as we wrap up, April, any last words you want to leave with my audience?
I think what I would say to your audience and to you is that you are worth it. You're worth the investment. You're worth the energy and attention to lead yourself well. And whether you're leading a top Fortune 50 company, or you're leading a 2-year-old, or you are leading a PTA, or you're leading at your church, I don't care what it is, you have the ability to influence at every single level. But it requires the kind of leadership that begins within. And you're worth that kind of investment.
I love it. Yes. Who rules the world? You do.
Girls. Awesome. Thank
Let's end
you.
with that one, right? You rules the world, right? Yes. And if you're gonna rule, you got to start by ruling yourself first before you can rule anybody
Amen.
else, right? Put on
Okay.
your mask first, right? Amazing. All right, guys. Well, listen, April, thanks for being on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of Transform Your Mind so you can transform your life. Today, we were talking about transforming the whole you, so that you can lead. And leadership doesn't, one of the things I love about it, you don't need to be a CEO of a company. You are always leading yourself, right? You lead
That's right.
yourself by what you do with your life, what you eat, what you do, how you show up, everything. And April said it nicely. Even your children, you're leading them and they're watching, right?
Mhm.
They are watching everything you do. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, April, for being on the show. Until next time, remember your mind is powerful. And when you transform your mind, you transform your life. So until next time, namaste.